Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to my deep guide, and today's video is a supplemental video or an addendum to something that I've covered a couple of weeks ago on my deep guide. The video in question is the power of analog style planning with ePaper devices, and in that video I was mainly focusing on the benefits and the power of using ePaper devices in conjunction with the old school analog style planning tools on them, such as in this case the MDO or My Daily Organizer that I make and that you can find in the description down below or on the mydeepguide.com/shop store. MDO 2026 is available, 2027 is in development, and it's going to come along a little bit later on in the year. In that video I was pretty much covering the benefits and the tactics of how you can actually get the best out of a setup like this. One of the important takeaways of that video was that analog style planning is not necessarily the single best thing since sliced bread or anything like that. On the contrary, it's a tool that has its own advantages, but it cannot do things that digital style planning tools and organizational tools can do. And I proposed that the way that I use it is a combination and symbiosis of both analog style and digital style planning tools. And I asked a question: if somebody is interested, I can explain that a little bit more or show an example. Quite a few people actually reached out. Yes, please, we want to see something like that. Today's video is the addendum where I show how I use the best of both worlds, the best of analog style planning and the best of the digital style planning in my own real world kind of work situation. We start by grabbing a cup of coffee and putting a lot of water into your face. That's to wake you up. I wasn't sure how I'm gonna record this whole thing because I need to do a lot of things and show a lot of things. So I decided for the first person view. Hopefully I got it kind of centered around okay so that you guys can see what's what. All right, so I'm in my regular workspace, and the very first thing that I'm gonna be what I would normally do is actually go to my analog style planner, and in this case that would be an ePaper device in Note Max with my daily organizer in place. And what I typically do, I would have it in a monthly view. I cross over the days that are done, and I roughly mark the days which projects I will be working on or mainly focusing on which day. So MA is Mars Awakening, MDG naturally is My Deep Guide. And also I combine it with the schedule for My Deep Guide, when which videos are coming out, and the status of these videos as well. So it's a fairly comprehensive overview of a state of the month, and gives me a really good information just at a glance where I'm at, what's done, what's left, and what I should be focusing on. Once I have my monthly overview cleaned up, I get into the 2 days type of planning. And typically I will list the tasks that I need, and if I have time schedule type of obligations or anything, then I will use the scheduler. But since these are simply tasks that I am supposed to do during the day, I'm just sticking to the to-do list in this case. Next, I will use the daily notes for all of the writing, brainstorming, and type of things that I will need. And at this point, I'm still not going into the computer at all. I'm still completely in the analog style of planning, and I'm purposefully doing this normally away from the computer so that I can focus on what I need to do, and that I don't have the distractions of the computer or anything like that, because you can get easily distracted in that type of environment. And this task is already finished, so I'm just going to flip over to the next page, and basically what I need to do now, what I would normally do, is tackle one of the tasks that I want to do, or both of them, and just write out the general guidelines and the thinking process about it. What that helps me do is basically puts me in the right frame of mind, and while I'm writing these things out, I'm organizing the thoughts, because right now I have a bunch of thoughts that are all kind of swirling around of equal importance, and some of them are peaking, some of them are surfacing and diving in and doing all of these kinds of things, but they are not organized, they are not ordered. What this process helps me do is basically pick them out of that jumble and put them into the right order, into the right kind of organizational frame of mind, if you will. And then when I have all of this kind of laid out and done with this process, only then will I go back, or basically get to the computer and start laying down issues and cards and organizing things in the digital organizer portion of the plan. So for here, the first one would be the fake wheel spinning that I want to add to the game, and now I would normally just write down my thoughts about it and how it should work, just so that I can get my mind organized and sorted in the right way. So this is the main layout of the logic and things and what is important for my frame of mind for this tasks for fake wheel spinning. And the second one is fake wheels steering. And I will be tackling those one by one, but they're part of a kind of same system. All right, so these two are fairly simple tasks at the, kind of surface of it, but I already know that in both of them, I'm going to be having some kinds of issues and some kind of things to solve, but that's the nature of, development. However, for the main portion of work, now I have this summarized. And what I typically do is now I will just set my pen here, and I will leave this here without the toolbar, without any distractions whatsoever, and my device is set up so that when it does go to sleep, that it will still show this this page here. So I can at a glance always come back to this structure and this frame of mind about either of these two tasks. Now that I'm done with this part, I move on to the computer or the desktop. And I'm these days using Linux as my main kind of a driver, so I'm already now in Linux. I'm now on Forgio, which is my Git repository and project organization hub that I'm hosting on my own server. And this is the part of digital organization, tool, and management. Here's my frame of mind, so you may do what you will with it if it's useful or not, but this is how I work with it. Backlog is basically tasks that may have been placed on the to-do list but are deprioritized, or they still need to get worked on, but they're just currently in the backlog. To do are the immediate tasks that are there for working. Typically, if I've done things right at the start of the day, I will have in progress and done as empty. And these two columns are for me the daily columns, tracking of the daily progress. What does that mean? Well, that means that we're now working on the add fake spin, right, when not in free mode, and add fake steering. So I'm going to add these two tasks in the in progress to indicate that these are the two tasks that I want to finish today, during the day. So I'm taking them from the to-do, putting them in progress, and then as I finish them during the day, I will manually move them into the done category. And that way, these two columns are giving me a very, very clear and manageable overview of the day's progress. Why I use this is because it can get to be very overwhelming when you have a huge list of tasks in the to-do or in progress or done or anything like that, where you simply don't have an overview of what's going on, what's been done, etc., etc. Naturally, the big red one is the bugs category, so that's something that once I'm done with this, hey, maybe I could fix one of the bugs, or along the way maybe I fix one of the bugs, or more often than not I actually add issues into the bugs. As you're working through things, you're discovering this. And naturally we have the closed section here, where you can see that they are all actually closed tasks with the red checkbox here, but I also manually at the end of the day from the done category, I move them into the closed category if they are all indeed closed and done. So that's my general kind of project management task tracking stuff. And I don't have a way to have this level of flexibility, this level of integration, and this level of everything that I need for this portion of work on an ePaper device. So that's why I'm trying to use the best of both worlds. I have the clear state of mind organized here in the MDO, and I can always go back and forth and see what's what. But when I'm in the whole thing and working on it, then I'm in the computer, and I'm in the computer environment, and that's basically what I'm doing. So I've dragged these two, and basically now we're ready. And yeah, now I need to reboot into Windows and actually start working. Now I'm back in Windows, I'm firing up Unity and the project that I'm working on, and I have the exact same access to Forgeo and my project planning in Windows as well, because it is a web UI kind of a thing. So I'm basically ready to just continue on working, and at this point I'm just going to continue scripting, and once I'm done with a bit of a systems and at least one of them done, I'm going to show you further on how I proceed between the digital planning and the analog planning, so that maybe you get a clearer insight into how I merge the two in a real world example, like this one. Alright, so we got pretty much the stuff that I wanted in there. So we got fake wheel rotation on the drone movements when going along with the navigation agent, and it's looking actually pretty cool. I'm really happy with the system because it's taking into account the different diameters of wheels, so that works great. And also I got the system for the axis rotations, and you can see the front and back steering for axles are doing an okay job for a fake type of steering type of thing. So that concludes all of the stuff that I wanted to do for today and for these tasks. I try to avoid going outside of this environment that I have. The main thing that I'm working on the main screen, and the coding here is on the secondary screen. So this layout doesn't really change. I don't pull up my browser, I don't introduce any kind of distractions at all while working. The only thing that I do have is basically this, and that's the whole focus. And while I'm working, I mark things off. I figure out, okay, hey, this whole section here, that's going to be a new task, and I write things around. So even if I discover a bug, I'm just going to write things down here as I'm working throughout the whole thing. The main point being, I don't change my environment, or I change it as minimally as necessary or as minimally as possible, so that I don't introduce distractions. So basically, now that I'm done with this one as well, I will mark it. I will unhide my toolbar so that I can need it, and then I can go back here and mark these two as done. And another thing that I'm also doing is I'm doing time tracking while working, but I'm doing time tracking here. So for example, this was 3.5 hours for the fake steering and all that kind of stuff. So now that that's done, and I know that I'm finished with the whole thing, I can just close it down, finish for the day. And now that I'm finished for, whoa, okay, that's Unity doing its, crashing thing. So now that Unity has crashed, I can leave it to do its thing. Let's see. Nope, don't send the report. We'll verify that later on. But the whole point is now I get to this other portion of work, which is updating my progress. I actually need to verify what happened with the crash before I do this. All right, so now I was able to close it without crashing and fix the issue. So now that I'm done with that, I'm actually ready to move on with the final piece of work, and that would be looking at the organization here and committing the final tasks. And if you do hear something, that would be little kitty over there keeping me company. So she is in a playful mood right now. This is just simply an example of how to utilize the power of digital tools so that they work for you. So for example, here I would say like I was working on the drone wheel and steering fake systems. So that's kind of really straightforward, but these are the important ones. So I'm closing issue number 9 and issue number 13. So I'm going to say, hey, closed issue number 9, which was wheel spin, fake wheel spinning. So I can say fake wheel spinning, and we can just go like this, closed 9, and I'm going to do spent at, and here I say 2 hours. All right, and fake steering was also closed, and that is issue number 13. Spent, how much did I spend? I look at my analog planning here, so it was 3 hours and 30 minutes. And now that I'm done with that, I make sure that it's all like this, and then I commit and push. And the benefit of this is that once it's done with all of this. It's going to do a couple of things. So now if I refresh here, if it's done correctly, and I did, these are turned to closed, right? And I've added 2 hours, which is correctly, and I added 3.5 hours to this one. So I'm kind of trying to minimize the points of friction, trying to learn and use the tools that are the best suited for this. And for now, I'm going to just kind of move these to done. And then if I have some more tasks, then I'm going to leave these guys in done and move something more into progress, go back to MDO and rinse and repeat per chunk or per the entirety of the day, depending on what kind of day it is. In this case, I'm done with all of them, and I make it intentionally so that it's not automatic into close, that at the end of the day, I need to do this action here so that I can clear these up so that they're ready for the second day, and that I have a memory of physically moving the closed tickets to closed once they've been verified that they're closed. So that's like a real world example of how I go about combining a analog style planner and using its strengths in a very simple example here with the digital planner tool and the actual work that is being done. The whole purpose of this is to try and bring it a little bit closer to you guys so that you maybe through a practical example that's a real world example, you may actually be able to kind of figure out, hey, that kind of a thing I can apply for, my portion of work or my type of work. So there you go. My apologies for the guerrilla style of videoing. I'm fully aware that the GoPro on my head is maybe not going to give the best type of results, especially in dimly lit conditions such as my work environment is. But my priorities for making these videos were to disrupt my workflow as minimally as possible so that I can bring to you the most authentic and the most real representation of how I use these tools in reality in conjunction with other tools in a fairly mundane and a basic type of a work day that I had for this type of use case. So while the image quality may be substandard to what you're used to on my deep guide, I hope that you were still able to kind of see and get the gist out of it in order to extract the information that is useful to you and something that you can maybe and hopefully apply and modify in your own use case scenarios and in your own work or whatever your organizing needs may be. If you found this and the previous video interesting, please do let me know in the comments down below, and also do let me know more specifically what are the things that you would like to see so that I can maybe focus and deliver that kind of stuff, because I've noticed that quite a few people are benefiting from, just practical examples of everyday use case scenarios like this. I take these things for granted simply because I do them every day and I develop them for myself, and I do that kind of stuff every day. And I'm pretty sure quite a lot of people who are comfortable with their organization skills, they take these things also for granted. But that's a luxury, and I'm starting to realize that very, very clearly now. So do let me know, what are the struggles that you have in your organization? What are the pitfalls that you may have? So that I can maybe gather some information and see if I can maybe help out with some genuine real-world information or tips and tricks of certain things that may be working for me, or even better, if other people who are also comfortable with their organizational skills and situation where they are and see a comment like that they can chime in and maybe put on some helpful advice. Because the whole point here is that you get stuff off your shoulders and create a work environment and daily environment that is beneficial to you, and that you have as minimal amount of friction against your daily interactions with tools as possible, because that creates a healthier work environment, and that creates a healthier state of you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found the video interesting and or informative. If you did, the usual, please like, subscribe, and all the kind of stuff, because it does help the channel genuinely. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye.